Welcome back. I know I was supposed to stream yesterday, but there were some people over at my house and they were being extremely loud. And I could not stream because of that. So yesterday's stream got canceled last minute. I was prepared to stream, I promise you. I was prepared to stream. Let me just bring the volume down of this stream. I was prepared to stream, but things were just way too loud in the house. The dog, the people, it was just so crazy. I would not be able to focus on what I wanted to do, so I just had to cancel it. But guess what? Thankfully, nothing happened last night. What was more important was what happened today pre-market. You had the Taiwan Semiconductors reporting earnings pre-market. You had some big banks reporting pre-market. Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. They both actually went higher, carried the market higher. Remember I said it doesn't matter what JP Morgan did. It matters specifically what those specific stocks do. And Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs reported well. Or at least the market liked what they reported and they pushed up to the north side. And then to wrap off the week with the Friday, there's nothing really too interesting with the on the earnings side for Friday. But there's been some very interesting moves today so far in the earnings basket, outside of the earnings basket. So I have a couple stocks that I want to talk about basically prepare for tomorrow. So if you have any names in the watch list that you want to throw in, feel free to type it in the chat, and then if I have any time, I'll quickly take a look at the stocks that you have mentioned. So quickly, let's start off with showing you guys my trades on the day. So let's go to the full screen. Bring in today's trades. The overnight trade. I forgot how to do this. Open in browser. There you go. Okay. That's the overnight trade. Start the trades from today. Okay. Last night, Tesla market was pushing down a little bit in the overnight market. Basically got short on the pop and then enjoyed the ride to the downside. Quick little short. Let the stock get too far back against me. Should have probably taken more profits in the lows over here. Did take some profits over here and then some more profits over there, as you can see. And then, tried another short, which basically got stopped out and ended up losing on it. But nice little winner on the short side on Tesla on the 8 o'clock market. This is when the 8 o'clock market opens. This market basically goes from 8 p.m. all the way up to 4 a.m. So took advantage of the 8 p.m. market and basically just simple scalping, right? Just scalping quickly, getting some money in and out. Now the opportunity is not only that you can make money in the 9:30 market, but there's also an 8 o'clock market for you to take advantage in. So a couple opportunities showed up and I was able to make money off of that. But more importantly, today the hats off, or the big trade on my part, goes to Taiwan Semiconductor. Pretty good earnings report on their part. Gapped up to the north side but pulled back off the open. They were struggling around the $340 area. I managed to start a position around 340, add 342, take profits around 345, and then get back in around 345, and then ride that position all the way up to basically 350s to the upside. So nice ride over here on TSM, and since then I didn't really trade the stock for the rest of the day. There were a couple opportunities to go long. There was a nice little double bottom over here. I guess you could call that a double bottom. I would not, but some people would. I would just call it the VWAP continuation. Nice little VWAP continuation where the stock pulls back around 345 or so, and then basically pushes back up to 350. Nice little trade opportunity on TSM. I passed up on that. There was another one where the 9 EMA crosses VWAP, and had you taken that trade, that one actually ended up working out as well. I did not believe that would have worked out, but because the market sold off going into the close, I believe this ended up actually playing out and working out. So shout out to anyone who took that trade. I was calling out this trade on the STN network stream today. That's the 1 o'clock stream that I do for Stock Trader Network. I was calling out the fashionably late scalp. Yeah, I didn't take the trade myself. That would have been a little bit of a money maker. There was a double top, however, on TSM around 351, which also gave you a reason to maybe go short. So a couple good opportunities to the downside, some opportunities to the upside. I only participated in the longs and I made money, so I'm just happy that TSM was willing to grant me some profits today. However, I took that money and I took it to CoreWeave, and I tried to take the CoreWeave higher day breakout. Sadly, not much momentum, not much follow through, and I gave back about a quarter of my day on this, trying to look for the higher day breakout run through. This one just kind of stalled out and didn't really have any more momentum. They gave you a couple other scalp setups. Had I actually stuck to the scalp, I think I would have made some money, but because I kind of forced this trade a little bit, I gave it tight stops and I kept forcing it every single time I saw the entry trigger. I'm putting entry trigger in quotes because I made up the entry multiple times without actually sticking to the setup. So overall got punished for my lack of discipline on this position. But thankfully I managed to make that money right back on Circle. Circle got absolutely smoked to the downside today. Not sure what happened really, but at one point in the day, this $80 support, which was holding, for quite some time absolutely gave out. Volume increases and Circle starts crumbling to the downside, pushes all the way into a daily support level of $76. So pushing into 76, I'm watching it carefully, watching it patiently. I see some sort of a capitulatory action coming into play. The stock is not able to get below 76 at all, so I get long right around 76. I'm able to capture a nice little long up to 77.30s, but then no follow through past 77.30. I'm looking for a full mean reversion back to VWAP, but sadly no full mean reversion. The stock was just way too bearish going into the close. The selling power was too strong, and hence the move back to VWAP didn't actually play out the way I would have loved it to. But still a nice little quick hit and run scalp on the from the low a day over here. You know, a lot of people I know actually were taking the long in this area and got chopped up. Sometimes the skill level, guys, is really, it comes to you saying no. No, I'm not taking this trade. No, I'm not taking this trade. But why did this trade look better than these two trades over here? For me, it's the rate of speed that the stock is crumbling into. This little hold up right when you think it looked capitulatory, right, where volume rises almost as much as the open, or even more than the open. It doesn't bottom out. You see more selling coming in, and then more selling coming in. So I'm literally watching the tape. I'm looking at the time of sales, the level 2, and I'm going, no, this isn't done yet. That means I should have probably gone short and capitalized on the short side, but I instead patiently waited, you know, more downside. Okay, this isn't done yet. Just let it go down more, and then you come into the $76 area where it's just struggling. It's struggling to get below 76, and every time it gets into 76, it pops right back up. So a little bit of change in characteristics coming into play, and then just using my simple setups, my simple mechanics, to my back tested setups to position myself into a reversal, and managing to capture a nice little long. And whatever I lost on CoreWeave high day breakout, I managed to make it back on Circle. One little trade over here, I had a trade on Roblox. I didn't really lose anything on it. The amount of money I lost on it is insignificant. But what I want to talk about is, you know, maybe I'm patting my back a little too much over here, but my expert pattern recognition, I called out this pattern in my trading group. I have a group like of 8 or 7 people. I think it's more like 10 people. They're all in my prop firm company that I trade with. I called out Roblox is potentially a Spencer scalp. This is an S&B Capital setup. Either it's a backside scalp by breaking below this range low, or it's a long through here all the way to the north side. However, I was only interested in the short because of my personal biases on Roblox, and I missed out on what could have been probably one of the most banger longs today, or I guess second most banger long today besides TSM for me. I know there were other stocks such as ASTS, PL, and a bunch of other names, FIGR, all of which are ripping to the north side at the moment. But you know, I'm talking about for myself over here. Had I actually taken the setup for what it was, there was a monster long on Roblox to participate in. So right at this $85 area, constantly holds after bringing in volume later on in the day. Takes out the high a day and manages to find support above 85, shakes out the 85 area a little bit, but then manages to reclaim 85 really quick, and notice how it just starts ripping to the north side. So Roblox just goes on an insane tear all the way up to $88.40, $88.50 from that $85 area, giving me my one of the most regretted trading decisions of the day, because I was originally calling out the long. However, I flipped for the short, and then I didn't flip back long when the long actually proved itself to be the right trade. So very upset at myself, but you know what, I'm pretty happy to recognize the setup, recognize what I did wrong, recognize where I could have improved, and how that improvement could have drastically changed my day today. Like, that would have been a monster day on Roblox had I actually just flipped long. Those were my 4 trades on the day today. Surprisingly enough, I'm taking a lot less trades than I used to before, and that's actually helping out in a profitable way. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing overall. Now let's go to I guess the watch list for tomorrow. The watch list for tomorrow isn't really that extensive because sadly there aren't any big names that report earnings tomorrow. I'm not sure if I showed you the earnings calendar for tomorrow yet. Here's the earnings calendar. More banks, mainly on the regional side. So regional banks reporting, not too exciting. What you will be watching for will be basically a day 2 trade. So day 2 on TSM, on Morgan Stanley, on Goldman Sachs. BlackRock is a little bit of an expensive name, but I'll throw it in there just to take a look at it. These will be day 3 trades now, I think, because today was day 2. That will be Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Bank of America, and then we'll throw JP Morgan in that list just because we're watching all the banks as a basket at the moment. Since we have TSM on the watch list, we're going to throw in a couple other semiconductor names: MRVL, Nvidia, ON, or is ON the shoe, or is ON the shoe? Either way, I'll leave ON on the watch list, and then we'll see which one is the shoe and which one is not the shoe company. Intel, which took a little bit of a dive intraday today. ARM, Micron. Along with Micron, I want to put in SanDisk, WDC, Seagate. I want to take a look at some of the cryptocurrency baskets. So BTC, USD, IBIT, MSTR, Coinbase, Circle, which got sold off in the sold off today. FIGR, which is, I think, another cryptocurrency based company, but Figure has been on fire recently. We'll take a look at that. The space sector, ASTS, new all-time high. Planet Labs going to the north side. Lunar, watching Lunar for some possible opportunities. OPCH, a stock that I went long on the swing account today. OPCH. Let's take a look at Walmart also, just because it's on the swing account. And couple other stocks that you guys in the chat are talking about. You guys want me to take a look at Nvidia. JPM's already on the watch list. Boeing, Open, Hood is a good one to throw on the watch list. I'll actually put it in the same sector as the cryptocurrency sector, because I think that sector was moving together in tandem today. Anything else that comes to the mind? Let's actually take a quick look at what CNBC watch list was today. That's not today. Biggest moves pre-market, biggest moves intraday. Those are the ones. Okay. So TSM, we already talked about it. ASML should be a pretty expensive stock, right? If I remember correctly. Is it even worth putting on the watch list for a day trade? Yeah, I don't think it is worth putting it on my watch list for the day trade. Spotify taking a little bit of a beating here. Possibly worth watching for a day 2 continuation. I mean, this is more than day 2 continuation, but nice little down move over here on Spotify. BlackRock already on the watch list. Goldman Sachs, Dell Technologies. Did you do anything today? DELL. Nope, not interested. Rocket Lab, RKLB. I think that's the one, right? Rocket Lab Corporations. RKLB still continuing to go north. This is not in the same. It is in aerospace. Oh, okay. Why am I thinking? I'm thinking about Rocket Mortgages, which is RKT. Yes, Rocket Companies and Rocket Labs. Completely 2 different things. Maybe we will put Rocket Lab on the watch list in the same space sector. So let me just quickly RKLB in the space sector. Nokia, I'm not gonna care. Memory chips and all that, it's already on the watch list. Did DraftKings make a move today off of the upgrade? Not really too significant, but it did make a move and potentially could start getting a little serious above 37 or so. But right now we're gonna ignore DraftKings also. I forgot to add CoreWeave to the watch list, so we're gonna quickly put CoreWeave down here, CRWV. Roblox, why not? Let's throw Roblox in there too. Couple drone names maybe. ACHR, Joby, RCAT, UMAC. I think UMAC is a drone name. Which is moving in the after hours for some news, if I remember correctly. So UMAC, UAVS, AVAV. So some drone names over there. We can even throw in, what are robotics doing at the moment? RR, push back down, not as interested either. Oklo, not as interested at the moment. I think we'll have a pretty extensive watch list for tomorrow already, and I'm almost certain that I'm not going to trade these many names. So why don't we just quickly take a look at some of the stocks on the watch list from here. Give me a second. There we go. Some of the names on the watch list from here for tomorrow, and see if we can find some trading opportunities. Let's start with some of the names actually the chat wanted me to take a look at. Nvidia. I personally don't see anything special going on in Nvidia for a day trade side. Volume is on the little bit on the lower end. It is trading 200 million shares a day. I'm comparing volume to itself, not to how much volume it has generally. So overall, the ranges we're stuck in previous ranges. This is not what I like to see as a day trade. There's no fresh catalyst other than the fact that it's maybe sympathizing with the TSM and its earnings report. So I personally am not interested in really a day trade on Nvidia here, unless the whole sector catches some sort of a really big news catalyst that takes the sector up or to the downside, at which point Nvidia might be very much in play. But right now, Nvidia for a day trade tomorrow is not a name that's on my watch list. I mean, it is on the watch list, don't get it wrong, but it's not a name with high priority. I wouldn't even bother putting it, looking at the levels on that name, because there's just way better trades out there at the moment for the day trade side. Boeing does look pretty good. It's been on a little bit of a heater over here. If you look at it on the weekly chart, that's straight like 9 weeks, 8 weeks in a row. What is it? That's 49 days in a row that it's been going up to the north side. So about 7 weeks over here where the stock hasn't seen a red week at all. So I'm not sure we continue to see the same rise coming into play on Boeing, especially given how overall markets are looking a little bit of shaky. QQQ, S&P 500 a little shaky today, back and forth, and still closing to the lower end of the ranges. I think Dow Jones is still looking fine, which is what Boeing is under. Possible that Boeing does break out above 250, but I'm a little skeptical here. So worth watching Boeing to see how it reacts to 250. But even for, again, a trade priority, Boeing just doesn't stand out as a high trade priority for me at the moment at all. So it's just a name that I'm just gonna have to let it move. There's no catalyst. There is no major news cycle that's coming out, other than the fact that 2 days ago they said what did they say, that they now are selling more planes than Airbus or something similar. Yeah, I mean, that's a decent news catalyst, but I just don't think it's enough for me to day trade off of, especially when we are in an earnings season, right? When you have so many other movers moving at a much crazier pace, doing wild things. I think Boeing is just not the one for me. However, there's a million ways to skin a cat. If you want to go ahead and trade Boeing and look for how the stock trades around the $250 area, don't let me stop you. I just don't think I'm interested in seeing how that trades over there. The next one was JP Morgan. That's a name that is for sure on the watch list because this is the banking week. Morgan Stanley broke out to an all-time high. Goldman Sachs broke out to an all-time high. The only three other banks that really struggled were Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and Citigroup. Citigroup actually climbed all the way back up to yesterday's high, surprisingly enough. So the only two banks that struggled was JP Morgan and Wells Fargo. So if these banks want to continue to struggle, they should basically start pushing back lower tomorrow, and possibly have some weightage on Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, or other way around, Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley continue pushing higher, and they kind of help put a bottom into JP Morgan and Citigroup. So continue watching it. I think John was asking if there's going to be a free fall Friday tomorrow. Today's move into the close potentially signaling to a little bit of weakness, possibly some free fall Friday action coming into play based on the closing action over here on the market. That we'll see if the other big banks such as GS and Morgan Stanley want to help out the market, or they want to put more bearish weakness on the market. Even Nvidia pulled back into the close here, surprisingly. I'm guessing something to do with the crypto move. But coming back to JP Morgan, yeah, I think the main question is, how does the stock reacting to the last few days low? If it's pushing below the last few days low and managing to stay under it tomorrow, then there's no other no other opportunity other than a short. It's very simple over there. But if we do push into 306 and then hold 306 again, I think there's a very good long coming into play, especially depending on how Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs are trading around. So watch JP Morgan without a doubt. Talked about MS and GS, very simple. Both of these made new all-time highs. So you're just watching to see if they are able to stay above their previous all-time highs or not. 188.82. I'm just going to round that up to 189, right? Is this stock able to stay above 189? Okay, very simple. Is the stock able to show you support above $189 on dips? Why 189? 189 is the previous all-time high. So if buyers are stepping back in above 189, and look at where today's VWAP is. Today's VWAP is basically 189. It says 189.28. I'm just going to round it down to 189. So if the stock is showing you support above 189, the previous all-time high, then why would you not just join them, right? Simply buy the pullback. Enjoy the ride once they give you strength on the pullback. Where is it? I'm expecting somewhere like this in pre-market, pulls back off the open and then bounces, giving you a long right here with the stop just below wherever that low is. It could be 188.50, it could be 189, and wherever that low is, you just use that low as your stop and enjoy the rally to the upside on Morgan Stanley. And similar to that, Goldman Sachs, if you pull up Goldman Sachs over here, 960 is where today's VWAP is ending. And if I was to throw in a line at previous all-time high, what a surprise, right? Previous all-time high, 961.69. Beautiful number, 69. And look at that. Much like Morgan Stanley, today's VWAP is ending right at the previous all-time high. Look at this action right here. This is what you look for. A pullback into previous all-time high, support or a bounce off of the previous all-time high. You get long somewhere in this area, throw a stop at the previous all-time high or just the low over here, the swing low, and now you get a free ride to the north side. That's what you're looking for tomorrow again. Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. However, I possibly will be watching Goldman Sachs more closely. Let me just type this out. I probably will be watching Morgan Stanley more closely, mainly because it is the cheaper stock. That means it'll be trading a lot more volume and will have better liquidity compared to the $900 stock. So Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley, 13 million shares today traded. Goldman Sachs has traded 3 million, about 4 million shares on the day today. So there you go. Very simple. Very, very simple. BLK is an expensive stock. I'm not really too interested to day trade this one. But quick little analysis. Another banking company breaking out to the north side. When banks are doing good, it's very, very hard to bring down the overall market. So just gonna remove this bad boy from the watch list because it's a waste of space for me. Since we're in the banking sector, let's just continue down the banking sector. Day 3 for Wells Fargo will be if it's showing you weakness around $88. If weak under 88, look to get short, but make sure to watch how XLF is trading on the day. If XLF is holding strong / above VWAP, then you want to be careful on taking new breakdown trades. Look for pullback and weakness under 88 to get short. 88 is key level, under, over. Okay, so basically what I'm saying by this is, you know, if XLF comes out and is trading on the more positive, on the bullish side because of Morgan Stanley and then Goldman Sachs, there's a good chance that Wells Fargo doesn't actually get bearish below 88. It could trickle around 88. It could play around 88, but never really break below 88. So you got to be a little careful of being overly bearish and then forcing breakdowns below 88, whereas the rest of the banking sector is being strong. But if the banking sector is weak, then 88, it's almost a no-brainer short over there to participate in that one tomorrow, right? So very, very clean trading ideas for the long side. And even on the short side, you got the banking sector giving you trades all across the board. Citigroup actually giving you a monster trade if we start getting above 119, which could happen tomorrow based on you know, how the rest of the sector behaves. But if the sector wants to now cool off and not do anything, I could just see Citigroup trading in the higher end of that range and do absolutely zilch, be boring. So that 119.75, 119 is a little important. 119 on Citigroup. Bank of America, I'm not as keen on Bank of America right now looking at the chart. And JP Morgan, it's not even day 2 anymore. This would be day 4. That's day 1, day 2. Today was day 3. Tomorrow would be day 4. There is no day 4 setup out there. If you'd have to make one up, and if you have the skills to make a setup, and if you have the right programs and tools to back test that setup, and you have the data to back you up on the setup, then yeah, go for it, trade it. I personally don't think there is a day 4 setup, so I'm not as interested to trade JPM tomorrow. The better trades are possibly between Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Wells Fargo. We'll see if Citigroup can give you some sort of a trade around that zone of 119 or so. Okay, MRVL. This is I think actually I remember why these stocks were here. It's because of TSM. So TSM reporting earnings today. Monster move to the upside. New all-time high coming into play. Let me just delete this line. The new all-time high is a little bit higher than the previous all-time high. You could try to use the same strategy as Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley on this one, but the chart's not really exactly 1:1 similar as the two banks that I just mentioned. However, you know, you could try to apply the same strategy. One thing that makes me doubt the move on this tomorrow is the fact that Taiwan Semiconductor didn't close above its VWAP. So that makes me doubt the bullish side on TSM tomorrow. I'm just going to have to react to the stock as it plays out. You know, use today's high, use today's low, use today's VWAP. I'll just have to react to the stock as it's moving around. I don't really have any concrete idea of what I want to do on TSM just now. So maybe I'll give it an orange priority because it is a pretty high priority, but it's not like a concrete plan as to what I want to do. Whereas with Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, I actually have a very solid plan, and that plan can give me a long and a short based on how the market and the sector itself is trading. So sometimes you know, when you have an idea like this, and you just stay patient for at least one of these ideas to come to fruition, you can just smack that trade, absolutely slam the trade home, and put all your risk on that one trade. If you lose, you lose, that's fine. But if you don't lose, it'll be much more worth it than you having to you know, trade all 4 of these setups and lose on 3 of them and win on one setup, but then overall come out red on the day because you wanted to spread your risk across the board, right? Instead, just wait for the one stock that's giving you the exact game plan that you planned for, and put your risk on the table for that one. And for that, for me right now, TSM is just, I don't see a good plan right off the bat, but it's very much an important stock for a day 2. A couple other stocks in the sector, quickly just gonna scan. Is ON? Yes, ON is the semiconductor, and ON is the shoe company. ON is something that I want to keep an eye out for in case they do manage to get back above the $63 area at some point. So throw an alert on ON around $63 to see what happens, and if we start pushing into that zone, potentially worth keeping an eye on for a semiconductor continuation long trade. A little bull flag coming into play over here. Intel got slammed down today, a little bit of a selling action on Intel off the open, but even then, after that, they managed to you know, stay above yesterday's VWAP, so it's not as bearish, but Intel did get slammed from the $50 area. Will be interesting to see how this one plays out for the next few days. I got no setup on it at the moment. ARM, ooh, ARM is at $100. Okay, potentially worth keeping an eye on, but not a high priority, low volume at the moment. Micron, this is another name like ON, but instead, like ON, this is at all-time high, whereas ON is like at a 52-week high, or close to its 200-day moving average, right? Micron is so far away from its 200-day moving average, and it's creating a bull flag at all-time highs. So I'm not sure if looking for a breakout long on Micron at the all-time high is the smartest thing to do, but it's something that I'll keep an eye out for. If I do take it, I might just monkey with tight risk and see how it plays out. You know, give it small risk and tight stop, and see how it works out. If it doesn't, then take a tiny hit and walk away. But if it does work, then, you know, enjoy the ride up on Micron. This is for sure worth watching, along with a couple of the other stocks such as SNDK, Western Digital, and Seagate Technologies, all of which again made another all-time high. I guess Seagate didn't actually make all-time high, but Seagate, imagine Seagate gets above $332 and starts going crazy. So that's a name that you don't want to miss if it's doing something like that. And I would imagine if SNDK and WDC keep going to the upside the way they keep doing it, you know, STX is not that far out. So keep an eye out to see how that 332 was it? Keep an eye out for that 332 breakout. However, very low volume stock at the moment. You know, $200-300 name with only 4 million shares traded. Light volume. Quickly, Bitcoin sector. You know, Bitcoin broke out not too long ago, a few days ago, above the 95K, which means the trades on MicroStrategy above 170. IBIT above 36, was it? Or 56? 54. IBIT above 54. A little bit of a weak sentiment in cryptocurrency today after hours, though. You saw Circle pulling back. However, Figure is absolutely monster. Nice little bull flag on Figure here, and now into a new all-time high. So you know, these stocks are on watch. Couple of them are doing their own independent moves, such as Figure. But Circle, MSTR Coin, IBIT, Bitcoin, all of them are on watch at the moment. Robinhood also got sold off into the close for some reason, so keep an eye on Robinhood also. Not sure if we're going to see a continuation day 2 for the short on Robinhood. You know, just a little bit of a continuation all the way into the 200-day moving average. Surprisingly, 200-day moving average on Robinhood is at $100. Wow, okay. Look at the stock. I mean, what a monster run up. yeah, we'll be watching to see how the $100 area holds up on any pullback if we do push back down there. I think weakness under today's low on Robinhood is for sure something to keep an eye out for. Figure is also something to keep an eye out for. Circle is at a daily level low, so if the daily level low breaks, potentially some more shorts over there playing out. ASTS, space sector. ASTS going into a new all-time high today, but then closing below the all-time high, sadly. Planet Labs keeps on rising up to the north side, just can't stop, won't stop. RKLB looks like it wants to break out again into the $100 area. So the drone sector, ladies and gentlemen, I just don't know what to say. Hopefully LUNR, the only stock that I'm watching, will have a little bit of a catch up over here. I'm watching for it to get above this $20.21, and if it does, maybe an explosive move to the upside in the next few days. With how the partner in crimes for these stocks, you know, Black Sky, Planet Labs, all these other stocks are blasting off and going to the upside, I'm expecting Lunar to potentially follow suit very soon. A stock that I bought to my swing account today, OPCH, because the weekly level is finally breaking. I mentioned this stock out for a few days ago. We got a nice breakout on this stock. It's going into $36. Now the question is, does it stay above 36 or not? So just watching it for the next few days over here. Light volume name, 2 million shares, I think, on the average. But very, very good to see you know, the name doing what I wanted to. In fact, it even gave you a pretty good setup over here intraday, which is what I took to get long after seeing this setup intraday, and it makes me very happy to see that today's VWAP is above that weekly level, and the fact that it never really got back that weekly level or under that weekly level after getting above it. So lots of bullish indications over here, potentially a reason to add to my position if we're actually above 36 tomorrow again. So keeping an eye on OPCH. Another name that I recently bought to my swing account is Walmart, because Walmart is being added to the NASDAQ 100 sometime before the end of the month. So looking forward to see if we can get a little bit of a run up on this bad boy based on that news. However, I don't want to see it get back below where I bought it, which is around 118. So if the stock gets back below 118, I might look to close this trade for a loser. Actually, you know what? I'll put my stop below 117 because that's where the 9-day moving average is. So if it gets back below 117, I'll lose my $1 per share. But as long as it doesn't get back below the 9-day moving average, I think I'll be able to capture a little bit of a run up on Walmart going into the NASDAQ 100 edition. So keeping an eye on that bad boy. We talked about a couple of the stocks over here. Roblox was beaten down recently for quite some time, but in the last few days, Roblox has caught some real traction. However, today it gave back most of that move. It looks like it closed back under VWAP, but Roblox is something to keep an eye on. And then last but not least, the two sectors, drones, ACHR, and then robotics. So ACHR, Joby, UMAC, UAVS, AVAV. Watching all of these drone sectors right now, they're kind of taking a breather. And then even the robotics sector, RR, SCRV, SYM, and so on. So the sectors are still very much in question as to which sector is going to start going crazy this year. So far, we have seen a little bit of a glimpse from MP, from CRML. You know, I think Trump was also signing some executive orders recently about rare earth minerals. I'm expecting the same themes and the same sectors that were previously hot, such as drones, robotics, rare earth minerals, quantum, nuclear, AI. The 6 sectors that were previously hot going into the year to continue being hot. So we'll see if they set up that way. I think that's pretty much all I have in store for today's stream, however. So let me quickly take a look at what the chat is talking about. Still watching Nvidia like a hawk. If it goes down, it may take the tech sector down with it. Well, obviously, it's the big tech. It's the number one most cap stock now, unless Apple took back over. I'm not sure if Apple did or not. Friday's fall won't mean much. Traders, investors, people with IQ over 10 are cautious now, and rightfully so. I mean, you don't gotta say it like that, TH. Jesus, man. GS up on earnings. That's correct. Hello, Prad. How are you doing, and how's trading going for you? Thank you, Barcades. Long time no see. Good to see you in the chat. Can you take a look at AMKR? I believe you probably went over TSM. We'll rewind to watch that part. Yes, sir. I did go over TSM. AK, what did you say? AMKR. Amcar? Amcor Technologies. Never heard of this company before. 5 million shares traded so far on the average side. 3 million, 4 million shares on the average side. So they did trade above average shares today. They're in the semiconductor industry. Is this a recent IPO? Why does it feel like this is a recent IPO? It's not a recent IPO. Maybe I just haven't traded it a lot. Wow, from $14 in March 2025 to $50 over here right now. I think, if this is in the semiconductor sector as they say they are, I'm not sure how big of a market share they have. I'm not sure what they make or who they provide products to and so on. But just reading the chart, this is pretty similar to Micron, right? This is not an all-time high. Is this an all-time high? Not an all-time high, but the chart is very similar to Micron in terms of, look at the distance from where the stock is to the 200-day moving average. Look at how it's holding at a nice little bull flag over here. So if it manages to get above 54.20 and show buying above 54.20, potentially could get explosive. But the last 2 days candles show me that there is a seller in this area, and they're very, very aggressive because they were bullying yesterday, and today they let the stock go a little bit higher, and then they came right back in to sell again. So there's a seller in this area. If you are able to break the seller and show me support above the seller, I think there is a breakout long over there on AMKR. Besides that, I'm not really seeing too hot. You might need to do a little bit more research on that bad boy, though. Obviously, this is just simple technical analysis. These stocks are fast approaching overvaluation. I do agree with that a little bit. I was talking about that on the Stock Trader Network, where I do my Tuesdays and my Thursdays 1 o'clock show. I was basically talking about how these stocks could potentially be going into the overvalued state, where these earnings reports that are coming out this year, if they are not showing the growth and they're not forecasting the way that investors want them to, this could potentially bring down stocks pretty hard. You'll see stocks that went up drastically to the upside go down equally quick or faster to the downside based on these earnings reports that are going to come out this month, or this month and next month. So very interested to see how things play out. Things are going to be hot. Market's hot. There's a lot of volatility out there. There's a lot of craziness out there, and as a day trader, as a swing trader, that's what you want. You want to see these moves happening. Otherwise, if the market's way too efficient, you're not going to make money. You need an inefficient market to make money. The efficient market theory is not true, in my opinion, because if it was true, these stocks wouldn't be moving up 10% in a day or moving down 10% in a day, right? And that's where the money is made. So stay tuned. Lots of fireworks out there every single day. However, I think that's the end for today's show, right as KS Beats tunes in. KS Beats, how you been, my guy? I haven't seen you in a long time. Still at work, but watch a bit. I appreciate that. I know it's you can't catch it anymore during the stream times now because you're at work and you can't catch the 8 o'clock streams. But you know what? I was thinking about if I should start streaming at 8 o'clock again. But I'm actually trading at 8 o'clock, or I'm playing video games at 8 o'clock. So, it's actually not possible for me to stream at 8 o'clock, sadly. So, yeah, I apologize. But you can always rewatch it And if you are rewatching it, make sure to hit the like, make sure to hit the subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, and all that fun stuff to tickle the algorithm's ball sacks a little bit. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the stream today. So if you are just tuning in, I apologize. But if you tuned in and you enjoyed, thank you for all the support. And I'll catch you guys, sadly, is today Thursday? Yes, so I'll catch you guys, sadly, on Tuesday, 20th of January. Because 19th of January is a day off on the market. So a happy long weekend. Martin Luther King Day. I'm not sure if that's like a, seen as a dark day in America. You know, it's the death of Martin Luther King Day, right? I'm sure it's not like celebrated like, oh, let's go out and party or something, right? But for those of you who do recognize Martin Luther King Day, Martin Luther King, thank you for everything you've done. And recognizing that, keep the market open. No, that's racist. That's racist, Dieter. Don't say that. I recognize Martin Luther King Day, so obviously market being closed on the 19th of January will be a little boring because market will be closed. But nice little day away from market, nice little day away from the screen. So no stream. Market needs a breather indeed. Yes, I need a breather too. So no stream on the 19th of January. We will be back on the 20th on the Tuesday. So go enjoy your time with your family, your loved ones. And if you're in Ontario, Canada, there's a lot of snow to be shoveled. So go out there, shovel your snows. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good weekend. Peace.